Hello, hello, my friends. Another dedicated candle review for you today. We are going to be talking about Caramel Sundays Pink Salt. Now, this candle I did purchase in the April restock over at Caramel Sundays, and this fragrance will also be available this month in their May restock. The May restock will be taking place on Sunday, May 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I believe this fragrance is coming back in the 4-wick 40 ounce. I need to double check to see if this is coming back in this 2-wick format. I will make a note down in the description box if it is. But I do know for sure that it is coming back in the 4-wick 40 ounce. I do also believe that they might be putting it in some of the car diffusers. So I did want to go ahead and give you my thoughts about this candle because I feel like this is one that a lot of people might have their eye on. A lot of people were intrigued by it. I know that I was. And so I have some thoughts to share with you on this candle. So the fragrance notes on this candle are top notes of salted melon, Tahitian vanilla, and coconut. Mid notes, lily of the valley, warm berries. Base note, orange, tangerines, and sugar. Okay, so when I initially saw the fragrance notes on this candle, my first thought process went to, is this similar to Yankee Candle's Pink Sands? No, it is not. Very, very different fragrance. Not at all what Pink Sands is. That's kind of more of like a soft, perfumey. I would say that Pink Sands actually paired really nicely with their Golden Hour fragrance. But Pink Salt is a very different fragrance. And surprisingly, you know what fragrance this smells like? I did mention this in my candle chat video. This fragrance reminds me quite a bit of Bath and Body Works Coconut Pina Colada, which is interesting because there's no pineapple note listed in this fragrance. But when I got this in on cold sniff, I was like, oh, this smells a lot more like tropical to my nose than what I anticipated. When this candle is burning, I am going to tell you guys that the notes that are most prominent to me are almost like this like creamy coconut. I think that's the Tahitian vanilla and the coconut together. Salted melon, I think combined with some of the other like citrus bases, the sugar, there's a floral note there of lily of the valley. For whatever reason, I think that lily of the valley mixed with like the melon note and the berries, I think that that is kind of tricking my nose into kind of like a sugary sweetness that I would normally anticipate from pineapple. I know that that sounds weird, but it definitely has a sweetness to it like a pineapple would, but it's not a pineapple fragrance. And I am going to also tell you guys that when this candle is burning, that coconut, it comes out more. It's not as creamy of a coconut as say Bath and Body Works Santorini Coast. But the coconut is there. There is kind of a soft creaminess to it. I will tell you guys that the Bath and Body Works Coconut Pina Colada, I really liked on cold sniff. However, when I burned it, it had kind of like an artificial plasticky note that I did not really love. This fragrance to me is what, when I pick up coconut pina colada at Bath and Body Works and smell it, this fragrance when it is burning is what I wanted coconut pina colada to be, which sounds really funny. But this is just really, really well done. I get some of the, like I said, the fruity notes in here. The melon is not necessarily like to my nose, like, oh, there's watermelon or there's cantaloupe or honeydew. It's not that. It's just a different like fruitiness that is combining with like a creamy coconut type of fragrance. This one is slightly harder to describe because it's not necessarily like a gourmand. I wouldn't categorize this as a gourmand, but I wouldn't necessarily put this in a perfumey element either. It's kind of like a mix. It has, I feel like, equal parts perfuminess, gourmand, and fruitiness. It's just done very, very well. I really like this fragrance. It's perfect for the summertime. It gives me kind of not necessarily beach vibes, but it does give me summertime vibes. I really, really like this fragrance. Now, I am currently burning it in the 2-wick. I did forget to mention that this is about 18 ounces of 100% soy wax. Caramel Sundays is a small business out of Georgia. These are hand poured. And they list here that it's 22 ounces of wax, but I believe that that is actually just the vessel style, or like how much the vessel it has something to do with like the vessel and how much the wax weighs, I guess. I can't even remember how it was. Somebody explained it to me, but it is actually about 18 ounces of 100% soy wax. Now you will see that the lid indentation here by nature picks up a little bit of soot. These are not very sooty candles. The wicks do tend to curl downwards when they are burning. I have only had, I think, one Caramel Sundays candle where that was an issue for me. Otherwise, I'm pretty good about trimming the wicks after each burn. I do typically like to burn these only for like about 3 hours, trim the wicks, and then if I want to keep enjoying the fragrance, I'll relight it. But yeah, I don't recommend burning them, even though the wax itself will stay clean. If you are wanting to minimize any kind of soot accrual on there, I would recommend going ahead and trimming your wicks. Let's go ahead and talk about the strength and throw of this candle. I want this one to be stronger, to be honest with you guys. I have been very honest. Some Caramel Sundays candles in this 2-wick format, I have noticed it tends to be gourmand fragrances that tend to have like a chocolate note in them. Those have been powerhouses for me. But some of these other fragrances that have more of like, if they have more vanilla in them, if they maybe don't have like those strong spices in them, I do find that this 2-wick format in my home performs better in the closed concept bedrooms than it does out in the open concept. Unfortunately for me, this 2-wick candle out in my open concept, it gets a little bit lost. Now, I do have in the description box down below, if you are unfamiliar with the layout of my home, my living room area has vaulted ceilings that can go up to 20 feet high. It does open up into the kitchen, whereas the bedrooms are, they have 9-foot high ceilings, and it's definitely a more closed concept style. So for that reason, you guys, I'm going to give strength and throw on this candle to be about a 6. And why do I come to that conclusion? So where I kind of base things on, you know, a 1 to 10 is that if I burn a candle in my bedroom, in the master bedroom, and I walk in and I can smell it very, very well in there, but when I put it out in the open concept, the fragrance gets lost and it's hard to detect. I know for me, maximum is about a 6 for me. If I'm having to like sniff around for it, even in the master bedroom, it's going to get a lower rating. However, vice versa, if I can smell it well in the master bedroom, and then when I put it out in the open concept, and it fills up the open concept, the fragrance might not be as strong, but it's still noticeable and detectable. That will bump it up maybe to like a 7 or an 8. If I can smell it all the way into my kitchen, then it's an 8. If I can smell it going to the doorways of the bedrooms, it's a 9. You know, and a 10 would be like all throughout the house. The 10 ones actually are usually if I'm burning it out in the living room and I can smell it all the way in my master bathroom. That's when I know it's a 10. But anyways, you guys, this one for me is about a 6. Performs quite well in the bedroom, but in the open concept, the fragrance does get a little bit lost. I am very curious to see if this fragrance in a 4-wick would perform any better in my open concept. This is a fragrance that I do enjoy enough that it's kind of on my wish list for the May restock. I do like it, although you guys know as a reviewer, I usually am trying to allocate funds towards not really backups of candles, but more so towards trying new things. And there are some fragrances that are going to be offered in the May 25th restock that I'm kind of drawn to a little bit more, but I do really like this fragrance and I would repurchase this candle. I think that it pairs really nicely with a bunch of other fragrances. If they were offering Golden Hour with this fragrance, I think Golden Hour and this pink salt would be a great combination. So if you have that one in your collection, maybe you got your hands on the big, huge one that they offered last month. I think that Golden Hour would be a great combination with this pink salt. It would burn nicely with pink sands. I've also been burning this with their Sublime Vanilla. It's a nice, like I said, kind of fruity, not heavy gourmand, but maybe a little bit just because that like creamy vanilla element to it, with a little bit of perfuminess to it. I really like this fragrance. It's very versatile for the summertime. I could see it pairing nicely with Kringle's Sea Breeze, just lots of fragrances. So for that reason, it's kind of on my radar for the next restock, but I don't know, you guys, my budget actually this month is going to be a little bit smaller because I went a little wild during the Kringle BOGO sale that was going on for Mother's Day. So we will see, but the fragrance gets 2 thumbs up. And I feel like if you're going to burn this fragrance in a more closed concept home, you're going to appreciate the performance. However, if you're wanting to burn it in a more open concept, I think you're going to be disappointed and you might want to go with the 4-wick route. So those are my thoughts on this candle. Like I said, the Caramel Sundays restock will be Sunday, May 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You're going to want to make sure that you're signed up for their text alerts to be able to get early access. I do believe that all of the fragrances that will be offered during the next restock are now on their website. Make sure you guys sign up for their rewards program. I think you get 5 points for every dollar that you spend. Those points can eventually be redeemed for percentage off your purchase with Caramel Sundays. So you don't want to miss out on that, but I will have my full wish list video up for you guys prior to the next restock. So please let me know in the comment box down below if you purchased this candle, what your burn experience has been, what would you maybe give a comparison of it to. And yeah, I always like to hear what your feedback is as well. Please hit thumbs up if you found this review helpful. Consider subscribing to my channel if you are new. I do want to say thank you so very, very much for spending your time here with me today. And until my next one, I hope you all go out and have a very blessed day. Bye.